A friend of mine, Mary Kelly, just released a new book, and it's called Stop Procrastinating Tomorrow. And Mary, if you know her, is a very efficient, a very productive person, and a lot of what she writes in her books and her keynotes are about productivity. And in recognition of that book, I thought about writing another short book, which I will call, if Mary's book is called Stop Procrastinating Tomorrow, mine would be called Start Procrastinating Today. I even thought about asking her for using the same graphics, so we'll make these two books a package. So you'll have Stop Procrastinating Tomorrow or Start Procrastinating Today. Okay, I wasn't really going to ask her, and I'm pretty sure she would not agree. And Mary really does believe that procrastination is bad, and I don't really intend to write a book about procrastination. But it was important enough to talk about it here. I do use procrastination a lot in my keynotes, in my workshops, and even in my books. So in this episode, I'll talk about the relationship between procrastination and trust, and, offer my position on why maybe you should consider procrastinating. And I'm going to do all of that right after this. Welcome to The Trust Show. I'm Yoram Solomon, your host, the author of the Book of Trust, and facilitator of the Trust Habits Workshop. My mission is simple. I want to help you form habits that build your trustworthiness, because the answer to this question will have the biggest impact on your personal and professional success or failure. Can I trust you? Okay, so you already know about Mary's book, but if you Google the word procrastination, you're going to find that these are like the top articles that come up, or the top links. Procrastination, why it happens, and how to overcome it. The second one is Procrastination, a scientific guide on how to stop, guess what? How to stop procrastination. Or procrastinating. Then there's the Wikipedia definition of procrastination and all. I went to Amazon to search for books on procrastination. So I, just in Amazon, I searched for the word procrastination. Here's what I found. The first one is the procrastination cure. Now, just to remind you, cures is what you get for diseases. So apparently, procrastination is a disease that requires cure. The next book was Stop Procrastination, Unleash Productivity, and so on. The third one, How to Stop Procrastinating. Obviously, it's something that you need to stop. The fourth one is Eat That Frog. And no, it's not about frog eating. It's 21 great ways to stop procrastinating. And how to train your brain to stop procrastinating. There's the stop solving the procrastination problem. So everything is about why you need to stop procrastination. Procrastination is bad, at least according to the Google search or the first results in Google search or the books that come up if you just look for the word procrastination. When I do my keynotes or workshops, I talk about the fact that trust is relative. And one example that I give about trust being relative is actually about when it's not relative is telling the truth versus telling a lie. And telling the truth, I'm just going to ask you, would you trust someone who knowingly and intentionally lies to you? I think that generally the answer is no, but I would have to say that even that's not 100% clear, because I would have to ask you, well, what do you feel about someone who's lying to you knowingly and intentionally to protect you? They're not telling you something, or they're telling you the opposite of something to protect you. They really care about you. Well, to me, that's a bad thing, but for other people, it's a good thing. So even telling the truth is not 100% absolute, even though when I first asked you the question, would you trust someone who knowingly and intentionally lies to you? Your initial gut reaction would be, no, I'm not going to trust them. So kind of putting telling the truth versus lying in an absolute and universal way. But when it comes to something like procrastination, it's different. So let's first talk about procrastination. So everything that I told you so far, or the Google search and Amazon and Mary Kelly's book, says that procrastination is bad and you need to stop it or cure it or solve it, right? So why is it bad? Well, the first thing is, as you get closer to the end to your deadline, and all of a sudden you find that you need more information and there's no time to get it, you may find that you need something, maybe a tool, that you don't have access to it, and it's too late to try and get access to it. Sometimes you don't know how long it's going to take to get something, and you may think that all you have to do is just, go and ask for it, and then you find that there's a 1 week wait, and, your deadline is less than a week. So it might be too late for something. Now, schedules sometimes get pulled in. So you're waiting for the last moment and you already have a full agenda, and all of a sudden the schedule gets pulled in and now there's no time to do this assignment, which you did have time initially. Stress is an issue. Some people stress over deadlines. Actually, many people stress over deadline. As the deadline gets closer, you stress over it. I have to tell you, I don't necessarily stress over deadlines, but you know how sometimes when I have so much on my plate, I'm like, I can't even start because there's too much and I don't know what to start with. So it's not the same thing, but some people just stress when they get close to the deadline. Then there's life happens. You had the time, you allocated the time. The deadline was next Tuesday. You allocated Monday for it. And then something happens Monday and it's so important and it takes priority. And all of a sudden that Monday is gone and you're not going to be done by Tuesday. And you can't predict the fact that life happens. That's why they say life happens. It wasn't planned. Maybe you just forgot about it. The closer you get to the deadline, the longer you wait, I should say, and not start an assignment, the higher the probability that you're going to forget about the assignment until after the deadline. And finally, procrastination, and it's not necessarily procrastination as it is missing the schedule, missing the deadlines, often carries consequences. Obviously there's a reason why you were supposed to do this. And if you don't do this, there are going to be consequences for not doing this. And so all those together really constitute why procrastination is bad. So let me just repeat them. You may need more information, 1. 2, you may need something else, and it's going to be too late, or access to something is too late. 3, the schedule can get pulled in, and all of a sudden you don't have the time. 4, you get stressed over the looming deadline. 5, life happens. Something happens that takes priority. 6, the longer you wait, the higher the probability you forget about it. And 7, there are consequences for missing that deadline. And those are all the reasons why procrastination is bad. And I'm sure you can come up with other reasons. Heck, if I check ChatGPT now, it would probably come up with more reasons. Okay, so right after I said maybe I should check with ChatGPT, I thought, why not? Let's check with ChatGPT. So I did check with ChatGPT, and just to see what it has to say about it. And most of the things that I already said are listed here. There's a list of 6 things here, like reduced productivity. When tasks are postponed, less work gets done. 2 is increased stress. I talked about that. Poor time management is 3. When you misjudge how long it's going to take, and that's when you realize that it actually takes longer than you thought. Lower quality of work, people who, and this is what they say, okay? Granted, my question was, why is procrastination bad? I didn't ask why it's good. Actually, soon I'm going to ask why it's good. But lower quality of work because it results in, it's a lack of proper training, planning, hurried execution. That is, if you do. I don't necessarily agree with that it's lower quality of work, by the way, and I'll get to that. Negative impact on mental health. So this is, now we're going past just stress. We're talking about frustration, guilt, and anxiety. And 6, harm to personal and professional relationships. That's a very interesting one, and I'll get back to that because this is going to tie us to trust and to the relativity of trust. Okay, so I just asked ChatGPT what's good about procrastination, and essentially it gives me the same things that I'm going to talk about, so I'll talk about them and then add what ChatGPT had to add to that. So what's good about Chat? By the way, I actually, when I do this, I ask people, when I have an audience in front of me, who's a procrastinator? And, quite a few hands go up, and then we talk about why procrastination is bad, or I talk about why procrastination is bad. And then I asked them who are the procrastinators again, and there are fewer hands that go up the second time after I just talked about 7 reasons why procrastination is bad. But then I started talking about why procrastination is good. And by the way, I am a procrastinator. In general, I can't say that it's 100% and all the time and all, but in general, I consider myself a procrastinator. So why is it good? How can it be good? Mary Kelly, this is for you. Why is procrastination good? Well, first, you get more ideas. The more time passes, the more you have ideas. You have more time to collect new ideas, things you didn't know before. You get better alternatives. Right now you have to do something. There are a couple of alternatives, and you have to decide what's the right approach. There are 2 alternatives, but as time goes by, all of a sudden a third alternative comes up. Just the fact that this problem is in your head and you're thinking about it can create more ideas. Number 4, ideas get to incubate in your head. When I started my career as a professional speaker, I started by talking about creativity and why we get our best ideas in the shower. And maybe that's something that I'll do in one of the future podcast episodes. I'll go back to that talk. But one of the things I said is, in order to generate ideas, new ideas are rarely really new. Often what they are a combination of old ideas. 2 old ideas that had enough time in your brain, incubated in your brain, and are meeting together. They cause you, or they create the intersection of those old ideas creates a new idea. So if you procrastinate, you have a higher probability of those old ideas incubating in your head and intersecting and creating new ideas. The more you wait, the more people you can ask. I have a general idea of what I want to do, but since I still have time, I run into people and I run it by them, and there are more people that I can ask the longer that I wait. Projects get canceled. You know what? Yesterday was a perfect example for that. I'm about to start teaching a new class at SMU, and I taught this class before, but it has gone through a lot of revisions, and I just decided that I'm going to revise it significantly again. So I needed to do that, and I waited and I waited and I waited for the last minute. Today is Sunday. Tomorrow I was supposed to publish the class. I'm not ready yet. Today, I was going to work on it. The last day, I was going to work on it on the last day before I have to publish. Okay, so I've already worked on it before, and I made some changes, and I feel pretty comfortable that I can complete it in time. But I waited for the last minute. You know what I got yesterday? In this coming semester, which starts in just over a week, they canceled this class. Not enough registration. It's a summer class, so typically registration is lower in summer. But that was, I could have done all the work today, finish it, publish it, and then hear that it was canceled. Or I could have done it before, and then only yesterday I heard that it was canceled. So projects get canceled, and you've already done all the work. Now, in my case, I still need to do it because I'm going to teach it in the following semester. And it already looks like it will open in the following semester. So projects get canceled, schedules sometimes get pushed out. So you hurried and finished it, and then the schedule gets pushed out. And that happened to me, and I can tell you that it's very, very annoying. I was told you need to finish this work right now, and this is the deadline, and you have to be done by the deadline. And I was done by the deadline, and then all of a sudden, this thing doesn't go out. It's not going out. Well, because the person that takes it after me, they were not available, they were thinking about it, and so on. You probably heard the phrase, hurry up and wait. Well, that's what happens sometimes. Schedules get pushed out, but you finished. You gave it priority, and it can be very, very annoying. So I would like to know that the schedule doesn't get pushed out. Sometimes things just change. You got the assignment, then there's the deadline. If you work on this assignment, as soon as you got it, there is what's known at that time. But as time passes and you get closer to the deadline, things change. Situations that change, circumstances change. And all of a sudden, the work that you've done is almost irrelevant because it was right for the circumstances when you got the assignment rather than the circumstances closer to when you needed to submit it. And finally, I talked about stress. I talked about pressure. Some people are actually better under pressure. To me, take me as an example. My best work comes under deadline, a looming deadline pressure. One of the things that I dislike the most, not to use a stronger word, is when I need to speak in a conference and they want to get my slides two weeks in advance or 3 or 2 months in advance. And it happens quite often. And I understand why, because they're worried that they're not going to get the slides on time, and they're worried that it's not going to work. And I get that. To me, my best work is done the hour before I go on stage. I make some final changes, and those final changes, they get me excited. They get me energized. I remember an episode from... you already know what my most favorite TV show ever is, The West Wing. And there's a part where the president is about to go on debate with his contender. And they are worried because somehow they negotiated that there's only going to be one debate. So if he behaves, if he does poorly on that debate, that's going to be bad. He may lose the re-election. And they wonder who's going to go on stage, because the president has kind of two personalities. He has this personality of, I think they refer to it, the good uncle, and he's, very mellow and very soft, and then there is the energetic, the smart, the sharp president, and they don't know who's going to come on stage, who's coming out of the green room. And as he's standing there at the green room talking to his wife, she all of a sudden says, I have to apologize that I didn't help you much. I didn't help prepare you. And he's like, you don't have to apologize. And he turns his head. She pulls out scissors and she cuts his tie. And he gets all upset and excited. It's like, what's wrong with you? Why did you do that? And they rush him to stage, and his tie is cut. And they need to take a tie off of the deputy chief of staff, get a tie and put the tie on the president as they're all walking to stage. And he gets to the stage. The amount of energy that he has on stage, I mean, obviously it's all scripted. It's a TV show. But I can relate to that. To me, that last hour, making those changes at the last hour, it energizes me. It's the best changes that I've made to the presentation. I get on stage with a presentation that's different than what I had an hour before. And it makes it better. But that's me. That's not true for everyone. So, back to the question. Is procrastination good or bad? By the way, one of the things I like is the fact that I only have 7 bullets to why procrastination is bad and 9 bullets to why it's good. So is it good or is it bad? And this is going to be where I tie this to trust. Because the answer to the question, is procrastination good or bad, is neither or both. It's both good and bad. It's neither good nor bad. It's just different. It's different for different people. For me, when I procrastinate, I do better work. For other people, when they procrastinate, they do bad work, worse work. Some people stress over it. I enjoy it. I thrive on it. But how is that related to trust? Well, we couldn't even agree on whether telling a lie is necessarily bad or good because, we care about the intention. And again, it's more of a personal thing. But it's even more, it's clearer with things like procrastination or risk-taking or other things, but I'll take procrastination here. If you're a procrastinator and I'm a procrastinator, do you trust me? I mean, most likely you would. Why wouldn't you? I mean, the fact that I procrastinate, based on this fact alone, the fact that I'm a procrastinator, you're not going to have a reason not to trust me because you're a procrastinator yourself. Now, if I'm not a procrastinator, I would want to finish everything early, and you're not a procrastinator, you like to finish things early. Would you trust me? Yes, you would, because just like you, as soon as I get the assignment, I want to finish it. So procrastinators trust procrastinators. Non-procrastinators trust non-procrastinators. Now, if I was someone who is not a procrastinator, the opposite of a procrastinator, I'll do everything as soon as I got it. And you are a procrastinator. You wait for the last minute. Do you trust me? You don't have a reason not to trust me. So often you will. You will trust me. But if I'm a procrastinator, if I wait for the last minute, and you're not a procrastinator, you do tasks as soon as you get them because you want to get them off your plate, you don't want to wait for the last minute, you stress over it, would you trust me being a procrastinator? I think the answer is a pretty clear no, you don't trust me. Why don't you trust me? Well, because you don't know that I will finish the task. You don't know that life is not going to happen and all of a sudden something else is going to take priority over finishing the task, which for me doesn't happen. You think that the quality is going to be worse because I waited for the last minute. That's not true. Not true for me. And you know that it's going to be poor quality, and you know that it's going to fall on you to fix what I did, and there's not going to be enough time, and now your work is going to have poor quality, and it's going to reflect badly on you. You don't trust me because I'm a procrastinator and you're not. By the way, I just showed you that trust is asymmetrical. It doesn't matter if I trust you. I'm a procrastinator, you're not. I trust you. You're not a procrastinator. I am. You don't trust me. Trust is asymmetrical. By the way, even if both of us are procrastinators, we also have the tendency of seeing things through our glasses, through our lenses, and you can accept the fact that you're a procrastinator, but you may not accept the fact that I'm a procrastinator. Because you procrastinating doesn't stress you. Me procrastinating does stress you. So here's one more example of why trust is asymmetrical. So this is kind of the link between procrastination and between procrastination or non-procrastination and trust. You see, trust is relative. The same behavior that would cause one person to trust you could cause another person to distrust you. That's how I explain the relativity of trust. And in other words, if I'm a procrastinator, I will be trusted by other procrastinators, but I will not be trusted by non-procrastinators. Trust is relative. But I will be remiss if I tell you that I procrastinate without having a plan. I do have a plan, and if you like to procrastinate, you probably need to have a plan as well. So here's my plan. The first thing that I ask myself is, do I get stressed? If I'm someone who gets stressed over deadlines, and by the way, the answer could be different to different deadlines. If I'm going to get stressed over this deadline, I won't procrastinate. I'll get this done over and avoid the pressure, even if waiting might give me a better quality result. The second thing that I do is, while I don't do the task itself, I ask myself the following questions. Do I have all the information that I need? If not, how do I get it? How long would it take for me to get it? Maybe I need to start working on getting the information, even if I don't do the task itself. Do I fully understand what I have to do? So there are no surprises later when I get, it's not that I read the instructions an hour before the deadline. I read the instructions as soon as I get the assignment, make sure that I understand what it takes, what I have to do, how long would it take, and then I know how long I can wait. The same applies to people, resources that I need. Will access to something that I need stop at some point? Like a coupon. I'm going to wait until the last minute to buy something, but there's a coupon that I was planning on using, and that coupon will expire by the time I buy it, if I waited. So make sure that you will have access, or if you lose access, know when that's going to happen. And once I map all those out, that's when I can decide, can I procrastinate? How long can I procrastinate? I would prioritize things to make sure that I can procrastinate safely. The other thing is, I talked about some of the advantages of procrastinating, like getting new ideas, getting access to more people, finding better alternatives, and so on. But I have to ask myself, what is the probability that I will get more ideas or find better alternatives or talk to more people? Because maybe there's not going to be a probability of that happening. Maybe I'm in some kind of a bubble and I'm not going to have new information. There's not going to be any new information. If there's not going to be any new information or new people that come up, I will argue with incubation of ideas, because that will happen. And maybe I shouldn't procrastinate. And again, this is a decision I make every time individually. And finally, what's the probability of something urgent happening, unexpected, which is kind of, when you say unexpected, it's a little hard to say what's the probability that it's going to happen. But, sometimes you do know, or you get a sense. What's the probability that I'm going to forget the deadline? Can I do something to make sure that I don't forget the deadline? So I ask these questions of myself to decide whether I should or should not procrastinate, how long should I procrastinate, maybe do part of it ahead of time, and so on. One of the things that I like to do is actually do it once, like not do it very high quality, but do it once. It does several things for me. One is it gives me a better framework to finally do it at the end, closer to the end. But it also gives me the peace of mind that I got something done, and towards the end, I can make it better. But if something happens, life happens, and I don't have the time, or I lose access to something, then at least I have something. Okay, this is it. This is the end of this episode talking about procrastination. What I wanted to do is several things. One is for you to realize that procrastination is neither good nor bad. There are situations where it's good. There are situations where it's bad. There are people who are good in procrastinator and get better with procrastination. There are people who are not. And it's important to know that a lot of these things are not black and white. They're really gray. They're not good or bad. They're really gray. They're really, it depends. But the second thing, and this is where it connects with trust, is that based on those personality traits, this is where we get into the relativity of trust. The fact that trust is personal, is relative, and the component of personality compatibility. Because people who are on opposite sides of the procrastination spectrum may not trust each other, and it's not even symmetrical. One may trust the other, but the other may not trust the first one. And this is how it relates to trust. I did record an episode on that with relatively similar content back in season 4. It was actually episode 1 in season 4. But, it's been 9 seasons since then. It's been a few years since that episode. I thought I'll bring this back up, especially since it's very, very relevant at any point. This is a greenfield type topic. But really, the motivation to write this was finding that Mary Kelly came up with the book, Stop Procrastinating Tomorrow, which gave me the idea of let's talk about it. Let's talk about procrastination. This is it. That's all I have for you today. I hope this made you think a little differently about trust and today about procrastination. May trust be with you. This was The Trust Show. What would you like to know about trust and trustworthiness? Let me know and I'll answer it in a future episode. I would love to hear from you. Email me at yoram@thetrustshow.com. If you like this episode, subscribe to the show so you will automatically get notified when I release a new episode. Rate it. Write a review for this podcast because those ratings help not only you, but also others looking for podcasts just like this. If you're looking for more resources to learn about how to build trust, be trusted, or know who to trust, look up my workshops, online courses, books, or go to my website, trusthabits.com. And remember that the answer to these 2 questions will have the biggest impact on your personal and professional success or failure. Can I trust you? And can you trust me? Thank you for listening or watching The Trust Show.